Now, let's do a quick overview. So in this booklet, we're going to look at how to draw the graph of sine and cos, how to find the gradient of the sine curve and all the trigonometric function, how to find gradient, how to find the area, etc. That's what we're going to cover. So we're going to spend 2 lessons on graphing, and then 1 lesson on derivative, and then 1 lesson on integration. So we'll finish that by the end of this week, and then this is the extension 1 component next week, and then we'll do a revision, and after next week we will start a new topic. So we'll start very soon, and then after the new topic we will do revision for your next assessment. Okay? Alright, good. So these are the exercises you do. So we're going to go to that next page. We're going to look at graph of trigonometric functions. We're first going to study the sine graph. One page. We're going to study the sine graph. So we're going to look at the sine graph equation and the cos graph and what each of the letters mean. So there's the A in front of the sine and cos. The A is called the amplitude. Okay? Amplitude. Okay? Write that amplitude. And then there's another component B that tells you the period. So the period for sine and cos is 2 pi over b. Okay? 2 pi over b. That's the formula. 2 pi divided by the number in front of x. And C is the vertical shift. That's the vertical shift. We're going to draw a sine graph. So we're going to draw sine graph, cos graph, and tan graph. You've drawn this before using degree. Now we're going to draw them using radian. Okay? I think you drew that with radian already before, but we'll just do a quick revision of that. Okay, so we're going to write down the amplitude and the period. Okay, the amplitude is the number in front of sine, which is 1, so write 1 there. And the period is the 2 pi divided by the number in front of sine, which is 1, which is 2 pi over 1, which is equal to 2 pi. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what you do is, we've got the period, we've got the amplitude. What does the amplitude tell you? It tells you the amplitude is, it goes between 1 and -1. Okay, that's what the amplitude tells you. Between 1 and -1. So you do that first, because that's easy. And then the next bit, we're going to, now the question tells you to draw between 0 and 2 pi, so put 2 pi at the end. And then you're going to divide into 4 parts. Divide into 4 parts. Why do I divide into 4 parts? Because there are 4 quadrants in a circle. So halfway is pi. Halfway is pi on 2. This is 3 pi on 2. So label these things first. No. Okay. All right. Okay, so label these first. We're going to draw the graph. Draw the graph. You might like to use a pencil because that will help you if you make a mistake. Let's draw the graph. So hopefully remember what the sine graph look like. You should remember them because that will help you. Start from 0 and then goes to 1, goes to 0, -1, 0. And then you join the dots. Goes to 1, goes to 0, goes to -1, goes to 0. That's the sine graph drawn. We're on page 2. Do the same thing for cos graph. Do the same thing for cos graph. Okay, next one, cos graph. The number in front of cos is 1, is the amplitude. The period is the same as sine because 2 pi divided by 1, which is equal to 2 pi. Okay, so we're going to draw this. Remember, amplitude is 1 means it goes between 1 and -1, 0 in the middle. And then put 2 pi at the end, divide it into 4 parts. So see how I do it? 2 pi, and then go in the middle, pi. Halfway, and then you do this one, half of this is pi on 2, this is 3 pi on 2, like that. Once you do that, cos graph starts from the top, goes to 0, -1, 0, 1. Okay, it goes like this. So you go, remember there's a stationary point, so it's flat, goes down, flat again, goes up, flat again. Okay? And put it simply, you've learned chapter 2 already. This is actually an inflection point. Inflection. Okay? We can prove this later on, but these are inflections. Just like this, that's an inflection. So there is a change of concavity. So when you draw the graph, you should reflect these features. Alright, should draw them. Alright, okay, let's do that. Okay, we've finished this one. Now we're going to do the tan graph. Tan's a little bit different. Tan's very different from sine and cos, because for one thing, there's no amplitude, and there is a period, but the period is different. The period is just pi, rather than 2 pi. Sine and cos is 2 pi, but tan is only pi. You will see later on why this is pi. Okay, so we're going to sketch from 0 to 2 pi. We'll put 2 pi at the end, put pi in the middle, halfway is pi on 2, 3 pi on 2, 0 here, that's a 1 and -1. Okay, so we've got the tan graph. One thing you need to remember, for the tan graph, there is an asymptote at 90 degrees, which is pi on 2, at 3 pi on 2, at 270 degrees. There's asymptotes. Okay, now how do I remember the other bit? Just remember, for the tan, it's positive in which 2 quadrants? In the first and third. So in the first quadrant it's positive, so it starts from 0, it goes to infinity to the asymptote because it's positive. And same thing in the third quadrant, this is third, it goes to positive, right, in the third quadrant. And the other 2 quadrants is negative, right? Negative in the other quadrant, so it should go the other way. Go the other way. So that's how you remember. Just remember all stations to central. In the first and third quadrant, it's positive. In the second and fourth quadrant, it is negative. And remember, these curves approaches the asymptote. And important thing to note that there is an inflection point here. That's an inflection, but it's not a stationary point. It has a gradient of 1. Okay, it's an inflection point. So it's different from a cubic graph, x cubed, which look like this. There's a stationary point inflection, right? That's a cubic graph. This is like this, right? It's not flat, just an inflection. Okay, in addition to this, we need to observe another bit is that the period is pi, isn't it? Can you see it's pi? It repeats, this thing gets repeated every pi, right? Can you see it gets repeated every pi, right? Can you see that? So this bit here gets repeated again. So therefore the period is actually shorter, it's actually pi, okay? I forgot to mention what's a period. Now period is, let me go back here. Okay, what's a period? Period is, that's one period of sine, and that's a second period. So it's the amount of time it takes before you repeat itself, right? So this one, that's the one period of cos, and then it starts to repeat again, right? So that's what period means that's how long it takes for it to go one full graph before the graph repeats again. That's what period means. Okay? Just like the period of the moon, it repeats every 1 month or something. Okay? Alright. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Now we'll look at some transformation. We're going to look at the effect of having a number in front of psi, or having a number in front of x, or having everything together. Okay? So every time you do a question, you're going to fill out this information about the amplitude and the period. And the amplitude is 5, right? This amplitude is 5. And the period for this one, because it's 1, you just write 2 pi. And in this particular example, we're going to draw the graph from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. So what we do is, let's label the amplitude first, 5 and negative 5. Pretty easy. And then put 2 pi at the end, put negative 2 pi at the end. We're going to draw the graph from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. Alright, now because the period is 2 pi, we're going to divide into 4 parts. Divide into 4 parts. So how do you divide into 4 parts? This is easy. So all you have to do, you can use a ruler or you can do it by hand. Just go halfway, pi. Right? Easy to get halfway because it's quite easy. And then you just go half again. That's half. That's pi on 2. And then half between pi and 2 pi over here. So you get, by doing this, you divide into 4 equal parts. Okay? So you get half, and then halfway in between these. And do the same thing for the other one. Locate the middle, pi, negative 2 pi. And then locate the middle again, negative pi on 2. Locate the middle again here, negative 3 pi on 2. Done. So we got our scale. Now we're going to draw the graph. Let's draw it in green. So to draw the graph, remember this is psi. It starts from 0, goes to 1, goes to maximum, goes to 0, goes to minimum, goes to 0. So 0, max, 0, minimum, 0. Or middle, top, middle, down, middle. Just remember this rhythm. Okay, so we're going to join the dots. So we get 1 full cycle of psi. Okay? The more you draw, the better you get at drawing them. And what do we do with the other side? You just have to repeat that. Now, you have to extrapolate the graph. So the graph just repeats. So it goes to negative now, 0, positive, negative. So you draw another full cycle of psi. Like that. Our graph is now done. Alright, draw them. And then we'll move on to the next two. Okay, good. Well, hopefully you all have finished. We're going to move on to the second bit where the graph gets a little bit more complicated. Okay, let's do the next bit. Okay, we'll start with the amplitude. What's the amplitude? Amplitude is 1. At the period, be careful. This one, there's a 3 there in front of x. So you write 2 pi divided by 3. We'll look at what that means in terms of the graph. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to fill this in a minute. But let's go through this first. Now, we're going to draw the graph from 0 to 2 pi. Just write 2 pi here. Put 0 here. The amplitude is 1 and negative 1. That's all we can do so far. Okay, now the period is now smaller than before. We have to be very careful. Okay, let's do it one step at a time. 2 pi over 3 means I'm going to divide 2 pi into 3 parts. Right? 3 parts. Divide by 3, right? So how do you divide by 3 parts? That's a bit hard, so you just use a ruler. But if you're quite competent in dividing things into 3 equal parts, you could have a try. So basically, there's 1 here, there's 1 here. Or just use a ruler. I do have a ruler tool. Let me try to use it. Does it work? Doesn't work. Maybe I have to click this one. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Okay, alright. Okay, so you divide into 3 parts. And then what do you do after you divide into 3 parts? You divide each period. That's a period, right? So this is 2 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, and of course this is 6 pi over 3, which becomes 2 pi, isn't it? Right? So we're going to divide each period, remember this is a period, into 4 parts. Because there are 4 quadrants in a period, right? That's 1 period. 1 period. So you have to divide into 4 parts. Dividing into 4 parts are easy, just half twice. So halfway, halfway, halfway. So you, okay, and do the same thing, half, half, half. Half, 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 like that. You don't need to label all the numbers. I think that's enough. Or if you want to work out what this is, just divide 2 pi over 3 by 4. You get pi over 6 here. Okay. All right, we're going to draw now. Remember, we're drawing the cost graph. That's why I need to remember the shape of the cost graph. You start from the top, 0, bottom, 0, top. Join the 5 dots, like this, and then repeat again. 0, down, top, up, middle, 0. Do it again. 0, bottom, 0, down. One more time. Like a roller coaster, like this. Like that. Okay, so you have, now we drew the graph. So can you see, I draw the cost graph exactly 3 times. So that number 3 indicates to you, within 2 pi, you expect the cost graph being drawn 3 times. That's why the periods are shorter, because you have to draw more cost graph within 2 pi than before. Okay, so follow this procedure, you'll find trigonometric graph very easy to draw. Start with the amplitude, start with the period, divide 2 pi into 3 parts, divide each period into 4 parts, and you got your cost graph. Alright, try the next one, which is the sine graph. With the sine graph, have a try. The negative tells you that it's going to flip around the x-axis. So when you draw the sine graph negative, you draw like, instead of drawing this way, the negative sign goes the other way. Just remember you go like this, okay? I'll have a try. So your first step is to write down the amplitude. The amplitude is always positive. Just write 3. And the period is 2 pi divided by 2, which is pi. And then divide 2 pi into 2 parts, because there's a 2. And divide each period into 4 parts. This is always 4. And then you can start drawing. So have a try. Divide into 2 parts and then 4 parts. Okay, let's start. Alright, so firstly, it tells you to draw from 0 to 2 pi. Put 2 pi at the end. Put 0 here. And the amplitude is 3 and negative 3. First step. After that, you're going to divide into 2 parts. That's easy because you just have to put it in the middle. That's pi. Okay? Which is your period. That's 1 period. 1 period. 1 full graph of sine. And then you divide each period into 4 equal parts. Half, half, half. Like that. Easy. Half in the middle, half again, half again. Right? And once you do that, this one's actually not hard to label. So this is pound 2. Half of pound 2 is pound 4. Okay? You may label all the numbers if you want. So that's 3 pound 4, that's 5 pound 4, 6 pound 4, which is 3 pound 2, 7 pound 4, and 8 pound. So the last one is 8 pound 4. So it goes up by a quarter each time, a quarter of a pi. Okay, so we're going to draw the sine graph. Now remember, there's a negative. There is a negative here. So you're going to go 0, negative first, then 0, positive, that. It's been flipped around the x-axis. And then you do it one more time. Down, 0, up, 0. Again. Okay, so your sine graph is complete. Okay, good. So we know what to do. We'll do 2 more pages, then we're done. 2 more pages. The next page will involve you shifting graph in the vertical and horizontal direction. And then the last bit we'll do a bit more on tan, then that's it. We'll do 2 more pages. Okay, alright, let's do that. Okay, alright, let's move on to the next page. Alright, next page. So we're going to look at draw the graph of cos x plus pi. So hopefully remember the plus pi, what does the plus pi do? Shift which way? Left or right? Left pi units. Okay, left pi units. Notice that I have given you the graph of cos. I should do it in green pen so I could see the difference. So we're going to shift left pi units. Before we do that, let's label the numbers first. We got 0, 1 and negative 1, pound 2, pi, 3 pound 2, pi, 3 pi. Okay, so we're going to shift left pi units. What we do is, because we're going left, we start from the right. So start with this point. We're going to go to the left pi unit. So this point will go over here. Like that. Going left pi units. And we'll do the same thing. This point here will go left, which is over here. And this point here will go left, which is over here. We only get 3 dots. That's enough. That's okay. So what we do is just join the 3 dots together. We're going to draw like this. So we basically just copy this part of the graph. So basically we're going to copy this part and move it over there, right? We're going to move this bit over here. Okay, good. It disappeared, and then we're going to use a normal pen and draw in maybe purple, like this. Alright, so draw this part. And how about the other part? You can do it in 2 ways. You can just imagine that it's going to continue. So you're going to maybe move this to the left, or you can just extrapolate. So it's just going to go here and here. And then you just draw it. So you just have to extrapolate the graph and draw the missing bit. So you're going to draw this. Yep, so it looks like that. Okay, so now we know how to shift graph to the left. We're also going to shift graph to the right as well. So that will be our next task. So do it for the sine. Have a try. Shift graph to the right. So this one, right pound 2 units. Units, like that. And of course I drew the sine graph for you, so it's easier for you to draw the graph of the shifted graph. 0 pound 2, pi, 3 pound 2, 2 pi, 1 and negative 1. And we're going to shift right power on 2, so you start from the left. If you're shifting right, you start from the left. Because if you start from the right, if you shift right, you just go outside of the range of the graph, isn't it? So you start from your left. So if you start left, this point here, let's do it with a different pen. This pen here. Okay, so this point will go left power on 2. This point will go right power on 2. This point here will go here. This point here will go there, right? So what you do is, we're going to draw it. Okay, so it's going to go like this. So go here, because this is being moved. This being moved. This being moved. And then we're going to draw another bit, right? And then we're going to go this, which will get a point here. And then we're going to go this, which get one more point over here, right? Because you're moving right power on 2 units. And you're going to join the 4 dots together. You get the same graph, but anyway. Oops. Okay, so you get like this, and then you just extrapolate the other bit, so it must go into -1. Alright, so drawn. So when you do it for homework, you just draw the original graph, and then just draw the next graph next to it. So you just label, this is y equal to sine x minus power on 2. And like before, we should also label this. This is just y equal to cos x plus pi, like that. Alright, once we're done with the horizontal shifting, we can also do vertical shifting, like the one we did before. So +2, so we're going to add 2, so we're going to go up 2 units. Okay, so we're going to label the cos graph, power on 2, pi, 3 power on 2, 2 pi. So label this important information, the graph, and then we're going to shift. Let me use my special pen again. So shift up 2 units. So it's going to go here. Shift up 2 units, which is going to go here. So I'm going to go back. So let's do in purple. So here and here, right? So it's going to be 3 and 2. And then we're going to continue. Shift up 2 units, which is going to go here. Like this. Shift up 2 units, which here. And then shift up 2 units, which will go here. Okay? And then we're going to join the 5 dots together. You get the cos graph. Let's try. So this. Alright, cos graph. I think the last one went a bit too high. Let me fix this. Like this over here. Okay, good. So we've got the cos graph. Of course, you can draw better than me because my pen is a bit wiggly. So it doesn't come out very good. So you will see the difference between these 2 graphs is no matter which point you choose, the gap between them is always 2. Right? It's always 2 units, the gap between them. So we can sort of say the 2 graphs are parallel to each other because just been shifted, translated by 2 units. So they should be. So every point you choose, there should be a gap of 2 units. So when you draw it, make sure you reflect that. And the last bit, shift down 1 unit. Have a try. Alright, let's draw. Let me see. Let me get my correct pen. Alright. Sine x minus 1, 0, 1, negative 1, negative 2, pound 2, pi, 3, pound 2, and 2 pi. We're going to go down 1 unit. So we're going to go like this. That. And when you get better, you don't have to use a lot of help. You can just draw straight away. Like that, okay. Something like this. Alright, good. So we drew it. I'll just indicate which one's which. This is y equal to sine x minus 1. This is y equal to cos x plus 2. Okay, just label your graph so you know which one's which. Okay, once we do this, we got one more page to go through. Then you can start doing the homework. So let's go to the next page. The next page has got some tan graph to go through. Again, we have to follow the same idea as before. We're going to shift right and left. So try to do this one. This one, what you need to do is label the numbers first. Pounds 2 pi, pi, 3 pound 2, 2 pi, 0. Okay, now we're shifting right pi over 4. So where's pi on 4 on the x-axis? It's exactly halfway between pi on 2 and 0. That's pi on 4. So we'll know how much we have to shift. Label the rest. This is 3 pi on 4. That's 5 pi on 4. No, 5 pi on 4 is right. 5 pi on 4. And that's 7 pi on 4. Okay, so label this information. Okay, after you label this, we're going to shift right pi on 4 units. Right pi on 4 units. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to shift right pi on 4. So let's shift the x-intercept first. So that shift right pi on 4. So that goes over here. And then the asymptote will also move. So move the asymptote. So the asymptote will be over here. And then this is going to be here, and then asymptote here. Something like that. Okay, so we'll draw this first. And then you're going to shift right pi on 4 units. So it's going to go like this. Like that. And then we'll continue. That's going to go down like this. Go up like that. Right? So basically, the gap between them is always pi on 4. Right? The gap, pi on 4. Pi on 4. Okay, we have to draw the rest of the graph. Now the rest of the graph, what you can find is maybe you can find out what the y-intercept is. To find out the y-intercept, you substitute x equal to 0. So you get tan 0 negative pi on 4, which is tan negative pi on 4. And if you use your calculator, you should get negative 1. So it actually ends in negative 1. So it goes like this. Right? Negative 1. And then this part will move to the right pi on 4 units. So go like this. Now, it doesn't finish at 0, finish at negative 1. So the last point is 2 pi, comma negative 1. Because it's like, whatever you start, you must finish on the same point usually. Because it's a period, so that's one period. That's the next period. So you see this negative 1, that's also negative 1. But if you're not sure, you can just still find out. So just substitute x equal to 2 pi. You can work out as well, which is equal to tan 2 pi minus pi on 4, which is equal to negative 1. That's if we do it on a calculator in radian mode. So it can get a bit messy if the shifting is not very easy to do. And then we've got 2 more graphs to do. Alright, done? All done? Yep. Yeah, you have to show it, see, -1. So you have to show the -1, the endpoints, where it starts, where it finishes. Yep. Okay, next question, tan 2x. Remember the period of tan is pi, so to get the period, you do pi divided by 2. Not 2 pi divided by 2, it's pi divided by 2. That's 1 period. Okay, so after that, we're going to put 2 pi here, pi on 2, 3 pi on 2. That's 0, 1, -1. Okay, we got that. And after we do this, we need to be very careful with the tan graph. Let's recap what a tan graph looks like. A tan graph looks like this. Goes up, asymptote, that. That's actually 1 period. Okay, that's 1 period. So therefore, because our period is pi on 2, we have to draw this thing in that period. 1 period. Let me write properly. 1 period. That's 1 period. So I'm going to draw this shape in this space, small space below. So therefore, every period you will see, you find it, you will divide in half, get asymptote in the middle, right? Because there's an asymptote here, and then you just draw this bit. You draw the first period, go up in the first quadrant, negative in the second quadrant, like that. And then the next period, you repeat that again. Asymptote in the middle, and then you do this, up, down. Repeat, another period, halfway, up, down. One more time, asymptote in the middle, up, down. I don't know, maybe like backstroke or swimming. Okay. Okay. Okay, good, finish. So it's very easy. So remember, the period for tan is this. That's 1 period. And the period is very small, pi on 2. So you have to draw the full cycle of tan from 0 to pi on 2. Like this. Okay, and then just keep repeating until you get to 2 pi. Okay, and then we'll go one more graph, which is the cot graph. So we'll look at how that works, cot graph. Okay, I've been speaking quite long. Okay, so we'll finish soon. Just one more graph, cot graph, then we're done. Or maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do the rest. Do that tomorrow. Okay, all right. So what you do is get out your unit of work, which is over here. So basically, we're going to do this tomorrow. We haven't done the last part of the booklet. That we'll do tomorrow. So don't worry about this yet. So today we'll just do this. Okay, that's today, which is 14th of May. 14th. Okay, so just do that. Question 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You can do some extra 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we'll go back to the graph just in case you haven't finished. Okay, we're done. Okay, start the work from the textbook. Done.